Thank you that we can come here together. It seems like ages that we've been able to do that. Thank you for seeing old friends again. And the possibility of making new ones. To speak and fellowship face to face. And not just via internet. Please bless this time when we come together here. Bless the studies, the conversations, be among us, and help us to learn that we treat one another respectfully and kindly. We lay everything in your hands. In Jesus' name. Amen. Tamina?
So, kwasai mese?
By isolating them, exploiting their resources, capacities for the independent.
Which acts makes person subordinate? Dependent.
And exploiting their resources and capacities for their gain.
Now, coercive behavior is an act or a pattern of acts of assault, threats, humiliation, and intimidation or other abuse that is used to harm, punish, or frighten their victim.
Coercive behavior. Ku-acta ne-pattern, nema-acts, ane-assault mukati, anothreatena vamwe, anonyadzisa vamwe, anotyisidzira, kana mamwe ma-abuse atinoziva, anoshandiswa kukuvadza vanhu nekuvapanisha nekuvatyisidzira ma-victims ava.
Okay, so acts or patterns of acts of assault. And try to punish or frighten the victim. It's not violence or coercive control. Violence is part of the coercive control.
Violence haisi coercive control. Itoriwo chidimbu kana part coercive control.
But it not necessarily means there has to be violence.
asi hazvirevi kuti panofanira kunge pangori neviolence pese.
Okay, let's look at the main model of domestic abuse.
Ngatitarisei model huru
It
yedomestic
is the
abuse.
power and control model designed in early 1980s.
Ipattern yekucontrola inogadzirwa kuti ialienate vanhu.
They interviewed hundreds of survivors.
Vakaita interview kune vakasurvivor
Up
maabuse
until
aya,
then, people thought domestic abuse.
mahundreds evanhu vakanga vasurvivor
The
domestic
violence was
abuse.
the end result.
Violence ndo yakanga iri end result.
And from the interviews, they were able to understand
Mumainterview aya vakakwanisawo kunzwisisa
that there were a lot of tactics used.
kuti pane matactics
So inside of the deal,
anoshandiswa
which we
akanyanya.
will look at,
Pane denderedzwa iri ratichatarisa. Mukati maro
we will see the different tactics,
tichaona
the violent and
matactics
especially the
akawanda
non-violent.
ari violent uye mamwe asina violence mukati.
So I'm going to draw the deal.
Saka ndichadrowa mukati medenderedzwa iri.
Power and control deal. So
Denderedzwa riri
on the
kumirira
outside is
masimba
the
nekucontrol.
physical and sexual violence.
Kunze kwedenderedzwa uku kune physical violence neviolence yepabonde.
But we want to concentrate today on the non-violent tactics. So using intimidation.
Kune vanoshandisa kutyisidzira.
Using emotional abuse.
Koita vanoshandisa abuse yemaemotions evanhu.
Using isolation.
Koita vanoshandisa kuisolata munhu.
Minimizing, denying and blaming.
Kudzikisira, kuramba uye kupomera mhosva kune munhu wacho.
Using children.
Kushandisa vana.
Using gender privilege.
Kushandisa maprivileges egender.
Thank you. Using economic abuse.
Kushandisawo abuse inoenderana nezvemari.
And using coercion and threats.
Kushandisawo kumanikidzira uye kuthreatena vanhu.
Okay, so this is a bit of toolbox. What may the perpetrator use to gain power and control?
Aya ndo matools mamwe anoshandiswa neuyo ane mhosva kuti
Because
awane masimba
survivor
necontrol.
can be telling you,
Nekuti uyo anosurvive anogona kunge achikuudzai.
well, it's actually not too bad. They haven't used violence.
Kuti hazvina kunyanya hazvisi serious zvakanyanya,
So
haana
the power and
kushandisa
control
violence
wheel
kwandiri. Saka iri i-control wheel.
show the non-violent tactics,
Ma-tactics aya asina violence
and
mukati
that maybe help them see the bigger picture
anogona kuvabetsera kuona picture ihombe
of how much abuse they are suffering,
yekuti vari kusaka abuse zvakawanda zvakadii.
and it helps to think about the relationship in its entirety
Zvinobatsira kufunga nezveukama hwacho zvizere
rather than just focusing on physical violence.
pane kungotarisa chete kuti munhu arohwa here, zviri physical here.
Okay, so if someone can gain power and control using, let's say, threats,
Saka kana munhu achigona kuwana masimba nekucontrola achishandisa pamwe kuthreatena vanhu,
they may never have to use physical violence
anogona kusatoshandisa
if the fear is
zvekurova zveya
instilled.
physical violence.
And with
Anongotyisidzira chete
surveillance, like
nemacivilians
calling on phone, watching somebody,
anogona kufonera pafoni kana
finding information through
kutarisa munhu
friends.
kana kuwana information yako kuburikidza neshamwari dzako.
So with coercive control is that the fear accumulates
Necoercive control kukundwa kwacho kuno
and then they
accumulate.
take it with them everywhere. Okay, so now I want to spend a few minutes by looking at the wheel.
Ndoda timbopambadza nguva tichitarisa wheel iri radrawel.
And I would like this part to be interactive.
Ndoda kuti tinge tiine nhaurirano pakati pedu panguva ino.
So when you look at the wheel,
Saka patinotarisa pawheel iri,
the non-violent tactics,
matactics aya asina ukasha mukati.
so if you can give me some example of any of these,
Mukandipawo mimwe mienzaniso yezvinhu zviri mukati umu,
what they maybe could do or use, how they could use this, some example of it.
kuti vanhu vanogona kuita sei kana kuti vanoshandisa sei mimwe mienzaniso yezvinhu zviri zvanyorwa.
Anyone, someone. Yes.
You define some of those words. I'm not clear what they are.
Which ones?
Like coercion and intimidation.
Unogona kuchekesa here mamwe hatina kudzidzisa kuti
Okay, so
zvinorevei semienzaniso coercion neintimidation.
I think that would be more like the pattern of some threats,
Ndofunga kuti ipateni yakarerekera kune kutyisidzira,
punishing and frightening the victim.
kupanicha nekutyisidzira munhu.
So it could look for anybody a bit differently.
Saka uchitarisa munhu wese zvakasiyana.
So if I would be the victim,
Tomboti ndini victim,
but I would have a good job and money.
asi ndine basa rakanaka, ndine mari yangu.
So if the perpetrator would tell me, if you don't do this, I will leave you and I'm not going to give you any money.
Perpetrator akandiudza kuti ukasaita zvandinoda ndichakusiya, ndo handimbofi ndakakupa mari.
It's not gonna have any impact on me.
Hazvina impact yazvinazvo pandiri.
But if it would be someone who is in country,
Asi kana ari munhu
on maybe spouse's visa,
ari mune imwewo nyika pamwe haana visa,
with children and not having enough money,
vana vati vasina mariwo yakakwana,
so that could be big threat to them.
anenge ari mathreats kwaari.
Does that answer your question first?
I was just wondering what intimidation was.
Ndada kuzwa kuti intimidation chii.
And the difference between that and coercion.
I think it's very similar.
uye kuti haina kusiyana nequation here. Zvakafanana.
Okay. Would someone like to give me some examples?
Kana da undipawo muenzaniso here.
Of any of it?
Ja, zum Beispiel bei Kindern,
Uh-huh.
dass zum Beispiel der Partner sagt, ich habe einen, der arbeitet, ist Rechtsanwalt. Und wenn du nicht das tust, was ich sage, macht die Kinder weg.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry, I have to actually repeat it after. So,
Couple and the man is a lawyer.
okay, for example, if there is a couple and then is a lawyer.
Tomboti pane couple, murume ari lawyer.
And the man says to his wife,
Murume obva ati kumudzimai wake,
if you don't do what I say,
ukasaita zvandinotaura,
I would take away your children.
ndinotora vana vacho.
Ist okay?
Thank you. Yes, it is. It
Right,
is.
naita basa. Izvozvo.
Any other idea? Thank you.
Kana nekumwe kufunga here?
Was steht denn da nochmal dran? Ich weiß jetzt gar nicht mehr, was war.
Asking what is again written on the whiteboard.
Economic abuse,
Economic abuse,
intimidation,
kutyisidzira,
emotional abuse,
abuse ema-emotions,
isolation,
kuisolata munhu,
children, minimizing, denying,
kushandisa
blaming,
vana, kuminimizawo,
gender privilege,
nekudhinaya nekublema, gender
coercion,
privilege,
and threats.
coercion neviolence.
Es gibt zum Beispiel nur ein Beispiel, wenn der Mann jetzt nur mal Auto fährt und lässt die Frau nie fahren.
Man drives the car and never lets the woman drive.
Dann kann die Frau nirgendwo hinfahren. Also,
So when the man drives the car and woman cannot drive the car,
Kana
dann
munhurume
kann die
achidhiraivha
Frau
mota, mukadzi asingadhiraivhi,
nicht nirgendwo, also das fahren nicht und dann will es nachher auch nicht fahren.
Then she's not used to drive the car.
so she is not used to drive the car, and the man driving mostly the car because she's afraid.
Dann habe ich hier noch mal, sie wollen unbedingt.
And she will not be able to drive where she wants by herself.
And she won't be able to drive where she wants by herself.
asingagoniwo kushandisa motikari kana kudhiraivha
That's
kuenda
how she's getting
kwaanodawo,
isolated. Thank you.
anotangawo kunzwa
Thank you.
achi-isolate.
I was thinking about in the case of economic abuse.
Ndanchifunga nenyaya ye-economic abuse.
There's a lot of couples where only
Oh,
the
sorry, I need to repeat it. I forgot about that. Yeah, so in the economic abuse,
there's a lot of
Abuse
couples where only
economic.
the man works.
so there's lots of couples where only the man works,
Kune makapu akawanda
And they
varume
are the
vega ndo
ones that
vanoshanda.
usually control the bank account for, let's say, the family.
Ndo vanowanzokontrola mabank accounts emhuri.
and they are usually the one who holds the bank account for the family.
Ndo vanobata mari dzemhuri, mabank accounts.
And where I see a form of abuse coming in is the wives having to be the biggest of the money and not sharing that account together.
Sorry, can you shorten it up? Sorry.
So what I see is usually that the men control that account.
So the man can control the
Munhurume
account,
ndiye anenge
And the
achikontrola
woman has to
account
become a
iyoyo.
bigger
and the woman has to become
Mukadzi
bigger
ndiye anenge akukumbira
to be able to get money or to use money.
to be able to get
kuti
money
akwanisewo
or use money.
kuwana mari kana kushandisawo mari.
So these are accounts that are not shared. The man controls it.
Saka
So the
ema
account
accounts
is not shared. The man does
asingasheyiwi,
control it.
murume ndiye anenge achikontrola.
Thank you. It's another idea.
Kana nekumwe kufunga here?
I have a question because of the comment that Rodolfo made about the children.
Pane mubvunzo necomment yaitwa naRudolpha
Oh,
yevana.
there is a question for the comment which was done about the children.
I was wondering, because I had the situation, my father was doing violence to my mother, and
I had a situation. My
Ndine
father did do
situation
violence towards my
nemutsotsi.
mother.
Baba vangu vaita violence kuna mai vangu.
my mother told me, as we were already adults,
My mom told me when we were adults
Mai vangu vakatodiudza
that
tatova
she
vanhu
didn't
vakuru.
leave him because she was afraid that he would have us and she was not able to have.
So you say she didn't leave
Kuti
him
akati
because she
haana
was afraid.
kumusiya
So she didn't
nekuti
leave him
vaitya.
because she was afraid that
Vaitya
he would
kuti
have them,
iye
not her.
anozotora vana
That he
asi
would
iye
take
That he would take the children.
asi
Yeah.
mai vavo
Yeah.
voshaya
and
vana.
that's why she didn't leave for many, many years.
And
Ndosaka
that's why she
vasina
didn't leave for many,
kubva
many years.
muchato uyu
And I was
kwemakore
wondering,
akawanda.
because it's the situations from violence,
And I was
Ndandichinga kuti
wondering because this situation
isituation
about violence from violence.
yeviolence.
I was wondering if that fits also into this model, even though he didn't say it, but she was afraid that he would make it.
Yeah, and I was wondering if
Ndachifungawo
this
kuti
can be
zvinokwana
used here
here
as well because he
mumasituation
didn't
aya
say it,
nekuti havana
but
kuzvitaura asi
sorry.
She was afraid that he
But she was afraid that he would take.
asi vaitotya
and
kuti vaizotora
then he
vana.
would do it. Yes, yeah. Yeah. So this is more what they do or say to them,
Izvi
but it is still
ndozvavanoita
valid
kana kutaura kwavari.
point because the fear is always there.
Asi point yako iri
And
valid nekuti kutya uku kune kungoripo.
yeah, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, with the children they can use even like when there is the period, when women would like to leave, so they
Vana
can use
vanogona
please,
kushandiswa
don't do it,
kana
don't take my
mudzimai
children,
achida
so they can use
kusiya
it even this way.
vanogona kutora vana vavashandisa kuti madzimai vacho.
I was thinking that maybe she knew him so much that she knew that he was going to do it.
So
And
I was
Ndachifunga kuti
thinking that she maybe
aivaziva
knew him so
zvakadaro
well
zvekuti
that
aiziva kuti
he would
vanotoita
do it.
vanototora vana ava.
And to prove it, I in my mind, I think as she wanted to get a divorce, he was trying to do the same.
And
Mupfungwa
to
mangu
prove it,
kuzvipruvha
because she wanted
ndaifunga kuti
divorce, that
pavaidawo divorce vaitoziva kuti
She
iye
got a
aitodawo
divorce,
kuita
but as
zvakafanana
we
naizvozvo.
were already adults,
she did get divorced when we were adults,
Vakazodhivorsa
he
pataatatokura
tried to do the same thing,
and he tried to
iye
do the same
akazamawo
thing
kuitawo
even
zvakafanana
though we were
naizvozvo.
adults. He
Kunyangwe
was trying to
tatakura
manipulate us
even though we were
vaizama kuda
adults because he was trying to
kutimanipulata
manipulate us,
so that we were going to be against our mother.
because we were going to
tizova
be
against
against
mai
our
vedu.
mother.
He put everything in a way that we were thinking, or that we could think that she was doing a wrong thing.
Vaitaura zvese kuti
And he
tigofunga
put
kuti vari
everything in
kuita
the
zvinhu
way, put
zvakashata.
it the way that he did do. It was all like the mom did do all the wrong thing. He put it the way that the mom did do everything wrong. Yes.
Vakazvitaura vachiita sekunge mai ava
Yeah.
vaita
So
zvakashata
I was
zvega zvega.
just making the dots in my mind, and it fits everything because of the way he put everything, he manipulated everything, and
It's just the way he put it everything and manipulated everything.
Muitiro wavaita
as
zvinhu
if
izvi
she was
vaimanipulata zvinhu
the
zvese.
person who was the wrongdoing.
As he put everything like she was the one who did do everything wrong.
vaita
Thank you for
sekuti
sharing,
ndo
and I'm sorry
vaita
I
zvinhu
went
zvese
through
zviri
that.
wrong. Vaita basa
Um,
washeya, ndine urombo kuti wakaenda through izvi.
I think everyone who went through this probably had this fear
Ndofunga kuti munhu wese akaenda through izvi
of
aiva
losing
nekutya
children.
uku, kutya kwokurasikirwa nevana.
And I think another thing is the way the patriarchal system is.
Ndofunga kuti imwe nyaya ndeyekuti nzira iyo system yepatriarchy
The
zvairi,
way people look at women, they usually blame women for the things.
nzira iyo vanhu vanotarisa vanhukadzi vanowanzo kuvapomera mhosva nekuitika kunoitika zvinhu.
Yeah.
And when I look back right now, I think she did everything wrong, even though she didn't know the message at that time.
Wrong?
She did everything right.
Right. Yeah.
Vandinotarisa kumashure, ndofunga kuti vakaita zvese zvakanaka.
Yeah.
Kunyange
She did
vaisaziva
everything right
message.
at that time when I look at back, even though she didn't knew the message.
At that
Okay.
time.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. For being
Vaita basa
vulnerable.
nekusheya nekuva
Okay,
vulnerable.
so I would like to maybe the isolation. So that creates the dependency.
Ndoda kutaura nezve-isolation iyi inozogadzira dependence.
And then fear accumulates.
Munhu obva aramba achingova nekutya
And then there's
kunoaccumulate,
increasing level of control.
pobva pawedzera kucontrol kunoitwa munhu.
Isolation is often one of the first part in coercive control.
Isolation ndo chinhu chekutanga mucoercive control.
And usually all the positive comments and discussion from your friends
Kazhinji macomments ari positive anobva kushamwari dzako
and family could be kind of removing the negative comments.
Negative comments anobva kushamwari dzako nemhuri yako anobviswa
From the perpetrator and balancing it through the friends. But if the friends and family are removed,
defense nemhuri zvinobviswa,
then
shamwari
you
nemhuri zvinobviswa.
take more the viewpoint of the perpetrator
Iwe ubva wasara uina perpetrator uya zvakanyanya.
and believe almost everything what they say.
Wotanga kutenda almost zvinhu zvese zvanokuudza.
Blame, denying, and blaming. What could you tell me about this one?
Ndiudzewo zvimwe nezvekubhlemwa nekudhinayiwa.
A lot of times I see men when generally it's a couple.
Often I see men, usually it's a couple,
Blaming their spouses for their aggressive behavior.
Blaming their spouses for their aggressive behavior.
So usually they will say, I answered you that way because you provoked me.
So usually they say, it's because you provoked me.
But yeah, usually the denying their own behavior, blaming on the spouse their bad actions.
Yeah, so usually they denying their own behavior and blaming the actions on the spouse.
Saka kazhinji vari kuramba behavior yavo vachipomera mhosva yacho kune spouse.
And when I think of minimizing, every time that women try to express themselves,
and if I think about minimizing, every time women try to express herself,
whether it's the spouse or men, they have the tendency of putting it as an exaggeration.
So the men usually put in it as an exaggeration. So they minimize the situation. Thank you. Yeah. So the blaming there, denying and blaming, all of it is often seen there, which is basically gaslighting.
Saka vanodhinaya vopomera mhosva.
And Yeah, it usually does leave because gaslighting is basically denying the reality of the victim.
Nekuti gaslighting kuramba chokwadi chevictim chaanenge achiziva.
So they're denying facts, the environment, and their feelings.
Saka vanoramba mafacts, environment yakamutenderedza uye mafeelings aanenge ainawo.
So then the victim kind of like it goes against their cognition.
Saka victim uyu zvinozopikisana manje nezvaanenge achifunga, zvaanenge achiziva mupfungwa dzake.
Emotions and what they are as a people.
My emotions ake.
So that can leave them very confused and with very low self-esteem and trauma.
Nomusiya aine confusion yakawanda, aine self-esteem yakadzikira.
Okay, financial and economic abuse.
Abuse yefinance neeconomy.
So the financial is that the finances are controlled.
Saka abuse ndeyekuti munhu anenge achicontrola mafinances.
Could be getting somebody into debt.
Anogona kuti munhu apinde muzvikwereti.
And restricting or sabotaging other resources.
Kana kuti vari kurestricta kana kusabotage mamwe resource.
And when you restrict that keeps the survivor stuck in that situation.
Opinda muzvikwereti woramba uri stuck musituation yaunenge uri.
Yes, good.
My question was about the previous one that you were talking about, minimizing.
Mubvunzo wangu wanga uri pane point
My question was about the
yekudzikisira
previous one,
yamataura.
about minimizing, denying, and blaming.
I think the ones that you've gone through so far, at least in my mind.
The ones you went through in my mind.
At least mupfungwa dzangu.
I can see and I understand how the patriarchy kind of supports that behavior.
I can see and understand how the patriarchy supports
kuti
that behavior.
Patriarchy inosupporta sei behavior.
Reinforces it for me.
And reinforces it.
Reinforces sei.
The minimizing, denying, and blaming.
The minimizing, denying, and blaming.
Kudzikisira, kuramba, nekupomera mhosva.
Would you say that that is only something that takes place from a position of societal power?
Would you say that's something what it takes place from societal power?
Society.
Like within relationships, is that a product of the patriarchy?
Like within the relationship, is that the product of patriarchy?
Relationship, patriarchy.
Or is that something that takes place between humans in general?
Or is that something that takes place between humans in general? I think. I can be wrong. I think it can be in any relationship. It's especially in the relationship between men and women. And because it's about the power and control, so that so the imbalance. It does can be between friends and other relationships. Which can hurt, of course, the person a lot. But I think in the relationship, it's the most intense. Since you live with the person. And have intimate relationship with it.
Follow-up question. Is that because of the societal power that affords men?
Is that because of the societal power towards men? Because of men?
Or Or is it because, I don't know how to phrase it, that said individual wants power over a person?
Or is it
Kana
because
kuti inyaya
the
yekuti
individual want
munhu
power over that
ari
person?
individual anenge achitoda masimba pamusoro pemumwe munhu.
So like you pointed out, for instance.
Yeah,
like
that's a good
friends.
question, and I think that
Sezvawataura.
would be it. The second one, but I don't know. Any
Ndofunga
idea?
kuti mubvunzo wakanaka, unogona kubvunzwa
What's your-
ene
I
handizivi.
don't, I'm
Kana
not making a
anofunga
point,
here.
it's a question.
Ich glaube, dass manche Männer das auch lernen aus der Gesellschaft. Die sehen das beim Mann.
Learning in the society, they speak with other men.
Do you think men also learn it in society from other men?
Tichitaura
Dass er auch andere Männer
musociety
befragen,
kubva
wie
kune
sie
vamwe
mit
vanhurume
seiner Frau umgehen sollen. Oder wie er mit seiner Frau umgehen
They
soll.
also ask other men how to deal with women.
And they also ask other men how to deal with a woman.
vakabvunzawo vamwe
Glauben
vanhurume
eher
kuti munodhila sei
ich
nevanhukadzi.
sag mal, dem Mann, dem patriarchischen Mann,
And they believe more the patriarchal
als
man.
And they believe more to the patriarchal man
Vanotenda mune
as to
munhurume
a woman.
und er glaubt,
wepatriarchy.
denn er ist richtig, wenn er das so macht.
And he also believes he is right in doing so.
And he also
Believes he is right in doing so.
and he also believes
Anotendawo
he's
kuti
right
ari
in doing
right
so.
mukuita
Also ich
izvozvo.
glaube, die Gesellschaft denkt so. Und dann,
And for me, it's
So I think the society is for a minute.
Saka ndofunga kuti society iri mumazviri.
Okay. Until when can I, Tamina? Until when can I go? Just so I know. Just
15 minutes more.
how.
15 minutes more.
Okay. We need to move on. Please. Okay, so when I was speaking about the economic abuse,
Handaifunga nezveabuse yeeconomy.
so if you don't have any money, you can go with your friends out or buy any stuff.
Kana usina mari haugoni kuendawo out neshamwari dzako kana kutengawo zvimwe zvinhu.
Or if you're in debt
Kana kuti kana uri muzvikwereti
and don't pay rent,
usingagoni kubhadhara
you
rent,
can easily leave and get another flat or house.
usingagoni kurarama zviri nyore kana kuwanawo flat kana imba.
The perpetrator can get you into the debt.
Uyo ari kukuabhusa anogona kukuunza muzvikwereti.
They can kind of like force you to take housing benefits.
Anogona kukumanikidzira kuti utore mabenefits edzimba.
Deny that that person, the perpetrator, lives there.
Oramba kuti munhu ari kuabhusa uyo aripo.
And they end up with criminal offense.
Vopedzisira
The victim.
vakuita victim opedzisira kuitawo maoffense eumbavha.
So yeah, it's about removal of somebody's identity.
Saka inyaya yekudzima identity yemunhu.
Limited their choices.
Kulimita sarudzo dzavo.
Who they spend time with.
Vanospenda nguva nani.
What they like to do.
Vanofarira kuitei.
No respect to their boundaries.
Vasinawo respect kumaboundaries avo.
So their identity is often taken away.
Identity yavo inobva yatorwa. Yabviswa.
With male privilege, I think that can be often seen, for example, with food.
Inowanzokuonekwa kazhinji.
Being women in the household, like taking care of the household.
Madzimai vachiita take care mudzimba.
And often can be seen
Inowanzoonekwawo zvakare
that the
kazhinji.
male feels that his work is more important.
Murume uyo anenge achinzwa kuti basa rake rakakosha zviri nani.
And attacking the woman because of the meal is not prepared the way.
Achiatakawo mukadzi kuti chikafu hachina kugadzirwa zvakanaka.
So that seems quite often in the relationship.
Zvinowanzoonekwawo
So all
mumarelationship.
relationships start the same.
Relationships ese anotanga zvakafanana.
So it starts by dating, nice period of time.
Vanotanga muchitsvetsvana muine nguva yakanaka chaizvo.
And so they start as a healthy one relationship.
Relationship yese inotanga iri healthy.
And so usually the survival wish for the person to get back to the beginning, who they were at the beginning.
Zvinotora nguva yakareba kuti munhu adzoke kune zvaaiva pekutanga.
So that's usually what keeps them stuck much longer in the relationship.
Ndozvinoita kuti vazoramba vari stuck kwenguva refu murelationship iyi.
Because they're promising them, I can change by giving up alcohol.
Nekuti vanovapromisa kuti ndinogona kushanduka ndichasiya doro.
I'm sorry, I can be the person who I was at the beginning.
Ndinogona kudzokera kune munhu wandaiva pekutanga.
Okay, I want to little bit move and I want us to see how difficult it is for women to leave from that relationship.
Ndoda kuti tifambire mberi tigoona kuti zvakaoma sei chaizvo kuti mukadzi
Because the
asiye
understanding goes a
murelationship
long
iyi.
way for the person who we're supporting.
Nekuti kunzwisisa kunoenda kunzira refu nemunhu waunenge uchisapota.
They usually need to leave fast. They usually need to leave quite fast.
Vanowanzokufanira kusiya
Because
nekukasira.
that's where majority of women are seriously harmed or murdered.
Nekuti ndouko vazhinji vemadzimai
At point of leaving.
pavanozourayiwa pavanosiya.
So if you are leaving,
Saka kana uri kusiya
and you can take only back with you,
uchigona kungotora kabhegi kadiki newe,
so there's a lot of things you lose immediately.
kune zvinhu zvakawanda zvaunorasikirwa nazvo panguva
It could
imwe
be all
cheteyo.
personal belonging.
Zvinogona kunge zviri mapersonal belongings ako.
It could be children if they are teenagers
Vanogona kunge vari vana
and don't want to go.
vanenge vachidawo kuendawo.
It could be pets.
Vanogona kunge ari mapets.
In a sense, it can be security that all what you do have there. It sounds a bit weird, but
Inogona kunge iri security yese yaunga uinayo.
this whole history,
Nhoroondo
family,
yese,
friends, community,
mhuri, shamwari, nharaunda,
the routine, and maybe job,
routine yawaita
if they
uye kana
are
basa
moving
rawaishanda
somewhere away from that place.
kana uri kufanira kuenda kure nenzvimbo iyoyo.
So now what you gain at that time would be
Saka-
security.
Zvaunozogaina panguva iyoyo inenge iri
Just for
security
example,
semuenzaniso.
it could be freedom,
Inogona kunge iri freedom,
safety,
safety,
autonomy,
kuzvitongawo,
self-esteem,
self-esteem,
confidence, house,
confidence, health,
peace. So now these things you
rugare.
lose,
Zvinhu zvese izvi unogona kurasikirwa nazvo.
you lose them immediately, straight away.
Unotorasikirwa nazvo ka1 ipapo
But the
ipapo.
things, all the things you're gaining,
Zvinhu zvese zvaunga wagaina izvi
it takes very long period of time to actually gain it.
zvinotora nguva refu yakareba kuti uve nazvo.
So there is this big step in between.
Saka pane danho hombe pakati.
And that's usually the point when the perpetrator starts saying, please don't leave me.
Ndo paya uya anenge achikuabhisa panotanga kuti usandisiyawozve.
I will change, kids needs me.
Ndokumbira usandisiya ndichashanduka. Please usandisiya.
It usually takes 5 to 7 attempts to leave the situation.
Zvinogona kutora ma-attempts 5 kana kusvika ku7 kuti usiye situation iyoyo.
And then you have there sometimes the frauds, criminal charges, that's
unozovawo nemacriminal charges nezvimwe zvataurwa.
and coping mechanism after this long period of abuse.
Kozoita coping mechanism nguva yeabuse iyi yapfuura.
Yeah, so think it's good as to understand what they're losing, gaining, and
Inotidetsera kunzwisisa
now
zvavanorasikirwa
coercive
nazvo
control
nezvavanowanda.
bill
Will recoercive control iyi
in France was put in place in 2010.
rakagadzirwa muna 2010
which adopted into law ban against psychological violence within marriage.
rikaitwa mutemo against psychological abuse mumichato.
England and Wales in 2015.
Kunyange kuWales muna 2015
For coercive behavior, you can go into the prison up to 5 years.
necoercive behavior iyi unogona kutoenda mujeri kwemakore 5.
Scotland, Ireland, 2018.
2018 Scotland neIreland vakateverawo kuita mutemo.
Canada, Ontario, 2020.
Canada, Ontario muna 2020.
Hawaii, California, 2020.
Californiawo muna 2020.
And Connecticut, June 2021.
Connecticut muna June 2021.
So it's all quite recently only put into the as a bill.
Saka izvi zvakaiswa mumutemo nguva yapfuura idiki diki.
And the most extensive law on coercive control has Scotland and Hawaii.
Mutemo wakanyanya kudzama panyaya yecoercive control kuScotland nekuHawaii.
So every bill that has a different range of different extension of the law.
Saka nzvimbo imwe neimwe ine extension yakasiyana siyana yemutemo uyu.
Coercive control can be sometimes really hard to prove.
Coercive control dzimwe nguva inowanzokunetsa kuti uiprove.
As you see, many countries still don't have it at all.
Nyika dzakawanda hadzitorina mutemo uyu.
Some controlling behavior maybe don't fall under coercive control.
Imwe behavior yekucontrola pamwe haitoclassify secoercive control.
In some countries where it is, there's still something doesn't fall under that.
Mune dzimwe nyika pamwe
leave that out.
hazvitori fall under.
Okay, so what then? This is the point where we can see how really important for women is.
Tinoona kuti zvakakoshera madzimai sei.
No full divorce.
Nyaya
In
dzedivorce.
some conservatives, after abortion ban, turning their attention
Abortion ban, abortion yabviswa
to the no full divorce.
Der Abtreibungsverbot zu.
For example, new House Speaker Mike Johnson.
muenzaniso House Speaker Mike Johnson
Was mentioned in it.
airamba kuti vanhu
So no fault
Divorce.
divorce is crucial for women and their liberation.
no fault divorce yakavakoshera chaizvo avaidi.
So the no fault divorce allows couples to obtain a divorce
No fault divorce inotendera macouples kuti varambane pasina mhaka yaitika
without the need to prove fault or wrongdoing by either party.
vasina need yekuprova fault kuti mumwe munhu andikanganisira
So no fault
chakati.
divorce is the process is simpler.
Saka no fault divorce process yacho inenge iri simple,
Less contagious,
haisi
And in fact, you don't
contagious
have to prove
zvakanyanya.
who is at fault,
Hauna basa nekuprova kuti ndiani akanganisa.
which means for the victim that it's less traumatic.
Zvoreva kuti kune victim yacho trauma inenge iri ishoma.
Yeah. Grounds for full divorce are often adultery, cruelty, abandonment. Which is the opposite. Yeah, yeah. So maybe, okay. So yeah, so some of these tactics are not that easy provable.
Mama tactics aya haana kupfava zvakadaro.
So coercive bills. Sorry, the tactics are not that easy provable.
Ma tactics aya haasi nyore zvakadaro.
And there's often more subtle things going on.
Pane zvimwe zvinhu zvitori sato zvine zvitoitika kuseri.
Which are not in the bill.
Hatisiri muwill ratanyora iyi.
Okay, so no full divorce is 1 second. So it can help reduce conflict.
No fault divorce inogona kubatsira kureduce
It's helping
conflict.
victim of domestic abuse
Inobetsera ma-victims e-domestic abuse.
faster.
Iri faster.
Most states does require still a certain time of separation. Before the divorce taking place.
Divorce isati yaitika.
It's usually between few months to 2 years.
Zvinogona kutora mwedzi mishoma kana makore.
Depends state to state.
Zvichibva nestate imwe neimwe.
Also, the no fault divorce.
Zvakare, no fault divorce
It does decrease. So, sorry. Based on findings in research,
maererano neongororo netsvakurudzo,
domestic violence and women's suicide decrease in states that legalize no fault divorce.
domestic violence
With the rates of suicide between men and women, even though males do have a higher rate of suicide. The thing is, researchers separate suicides and suicide attempts.
Ma-researchers vakapatsanura suicide ne-suicide attempt.
And suicide attempts are 2 to 4 times more frequent among females.
Ma-suicide attempts are 2 to 4 times more frequent kuvanhukadzi.
This is known as the gender paradox in suicide.
Zvinozivikanwa sekuti gender paradox society.
And it's based it's because of the means they use to suicide.
Suicide.
So based on findings in the research,
maererano nezvavakawana mutsvakurudzo dzavo,
domestic violence and women suicide decrease in states that legalize no fault divorce.
Domestic violence muvanhurume, suicide inowedzerawo mumastates ayo akanzi no fault divorce iriko.
The legalization of no fault divorce in United States
kuitwa legalize kwakaitwa no fault divorce muAmerica
began in 1969 in California.
Kwakatanga 1969 munzvimbo yeCalifornia.
Under legislation signed by Ronald Reagan.
Ma-legislations aiitwa na Ronald Reagan.
And was completed in 2010.
Yakazokompletwa muna 2010.
The introduction of no fault divorce led to rise in divorce rates.
Kuintroducwa kwe-no fault divorce kwakawedzera ma-divorce rate.
In the United States during the 1970s,
MuAmerica munguva dzana-1970,
from 1975 to 1988 in the USA,
kubva 1975 kusvika 1988 kuAmerica,
in families with children, presented wives filed for divorce.
mumhuri madzimai vaizounzawo madivorce
In
vachifaila for divorce.
approximately 2/3 of cases.
Mumacases anga
Yes,
ari
so through
approximately
the study,
2/3 vachiri kuongorora chidzidzo
I wanted
chacho.
to share the will,
Ndachida kusheya will iyi
the non-violent tactics,
nema-non-violent tactics
to help us see how difficult it is to get out of abusive marriage.
kubetsera kuona kuti zvakaoma sei kubuda muma-abusive marriage,
And the importance of no fault divorce for women,
uye kukosha kwe-no fault divorce muvanhurume,
which can be with knowing that after progression, there is always the flashback. So there could be attempts to overturn it with soon upcoming Sunday law.
kunogona kuve nema-attempts ekuoverturna no fault divorce nesunday law iri
And
kuuya
we
iyi.
will close with word of prayer.
Tichavhara nomunamato.
Our loving God, I want to thank you
Mwari anotida ndakutendai
for this movement,
nemovement ino,
the studies,
zvidzidzo izvi,
the light you're giving us,
chiedza chamunokatipa,
that we can grow and change
togona kukura nekushanduka,
and be better people,
tozovawo vanhu vari nani,
understand you better.
tokunzwisaiwo
And I
zviri
just
nani.
praise who you with everyone who went through this difficult experience,
Tichitounzawo vanhu vese vakaenda munguva yakaoma iyoyi,
for everyone who is in this situation.
nevanhu vari musituation dzakaoma
I
idzodzi.
pray for your wisdom
Tokumbirawo mugova
and for
Mwari,
us to support them well.
nesuwo tigovatsigirawo.
Be with each of us in this movement.
Nesu vari movement ino,
Thank you for everything.
totenda
In
nezvese.
Jesus' name I pray.
Muzita raJesu tonamata. Amen.
Thank you, everyone.